I grew up in a family of teachers in New York City. When he was 50, my grandfather gave up his career as an engineer to become a teacher in what was, at the time, one of the worst secondary schools in the city. And my mother taught science to primary school students for 40 years before she retired. And I remember her working late nights and weekends preparing for classes, spending a lot of her own money on materials and supplies. And a few years ago, she created a Facebook page and started receiving messages from former students thanking her for what she did to help them make the people they'd become. So this got me thinking. No one is denying there's a global education problem. And if the goal of education is to make students into productive members of society as adults, then why not tie a portion of teachers' pay to the achievement of this goal? Now, there have been attempts to tie teachers' pay to the scores of their students on standardized tests, but this has led to teaching to the test and practices that have not improved the quality of learning. So here's the idea I want to share with you today. What if we created a special investment account for each teacher that would be invested in the shares of the public companies their students go to work for over their careers, or in the shares of private equity and venture capital funds that own the private companies their students go to work for? Now, we need a few things to make this work. First, we need the ability to track the companies that students go to work for over their careers. Second, we need the ability to invest in a basket or index of companies where the list of companies can change over time. And third, we need funding to establish the initial balances in these accounts. Well, our lives are completely digitized, so it must be possible to track the companies that students go to work for over their careers. And we have something called the Exchange-Traded Fund, or ETF, which is an investment vehicle that allows you to invest in an index of companies where the list of companies can shift over time. And I think that could be adapted to help here. And finally, governments around the world spend an average of 5% of GDP on education. Now, a lot of that goes to paying teachers, but a lot of it goes to funding educational bureaucracies, which can probably be reallocated. And for students who pursue alternative careers such as law, perhaps this index could include companies that have the lowest litigation costs. And for students who go into the arts or medicine, the investments could take the form perhaps of grants to arts institutions or hospitals in exchange for reduced taxes or a fixed investment return. Now, each teacher's account balance would be invested right away based on the current careers of a teacher's former students from their school, district, or city. And over time, could become more specific to each teacher based on the current careers of their former students. As the account balances grow and accumulate value, they would become vested or accessible to teachers as their careers develop alongside the careers of their students. Financial incentives and career opportunities are what attract any of us to a profession. And what I'm proposing is that we do whatever we can to attract the best talent to teach our children. Consider that among the millions of students in the world, could be one who someday goes to work for a company and develops an innovative solution to stopping all cyber attacks, or as an engineer and develops a new form of renewable energy that could halt global warming, or as a biologist and could develop a cure for the Ebola virus. Not only would these students be solving some of the world's most vexing problems, but they would be repaying the very people who help make them who they are. Thank you.